Misty, we could talk about the album itself probably through the end of this show, but let's talk a little bit about Taylor Swift and how she has become this business mastermind, as you put it. You know, my opinion was that she could have waited another year to put this out. She could have marinated in her feelings a little bit more. But you think about her relationship with her fans, for example, and they're used to sort of this content that she reliably produces, and they're willing to pay up for it.
Yeah, I think that's totally true. Thanks for having me, by the way. You know, she has really curated a hardcore, dedicated set of fans, and you know, they're used to her reflecting and then producing kind of immediately. And so I think for the fans, this was a great treat.
And talk to us, too, about the element of the fact that, you know, there is this release party. You can go and see it in theaters. That's one way that she touches them. Another way, of course, to bring in a revenue stream. You can find that, you know, with the merch opportunities. Obviously, she's coming off of one of the most successful tours of all time. It seems like there's all these different touch points to her audience.
Yeah, there is. And it's really fun to watch. She is really creative with her art, and she's also a very creative marketer. So, you know, she continues to push the envelope on what singers and what musicians can do and how they can engage with their audiences. I love that this time around, there's not only a listening experience, but also a visual experience in the theaters. And, you know, she connects really deeply to her fans. And I think, you know, part of her goal is to give them opportunities to be together and experience.
How do you assess, Misty, her staying power beyond this? I mean, she's obviously been at this for a couple of decades now. And when we talk about the life of any real entertainer, certainly a pop star, it's usually a lot shorter than a couple of decades. Does she branch out into something else? I don't know if she can act. We had this conversation with Katie earlier. She was offended because I said I've never seen her act. But I mean, is there sort of something for her to do beyond this? Does she just become a business person, or is she just going to continue to put out albums and tour until you know, she reaches a certain age?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, I'll say she definitely can act. If you watch some of her music videos, she's been in, you know, had a couple of visiting position, you know, spots in some movies and other TV series. So she can definitely act. You know, I liken her to a Madonna or a Dolly Parton. You know, women in the entertainment industry who have that level of talent can stick around for as long as they want.
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring those people up, and we talk about, obviously, certainly in part an icon, Madonna, an icon for a lot of folks as well. But then I always think about their career trajectories and how they branched out, I think, a little bit sooner than maybe what we're seeing with Taylor. And I don't know if that's maybe just a function of the time that we live in, particularly with, I guess, her own battles over her own catalog, reclaiming those the rights to that catalog, and now, of course, you know, putting on back-to-back 2 blockbuster tours. Although she didn't get the Super Bowl, Misty. Why not?
Well, you know, rumor on the street, I don't have any verification of this, but rumor on the street is that she declined the Super Bowl because they wouldn't give her complete control and ownership over the rights of the performance. But, you know, she's stuck around in this lane because it's been really successful for her. You know, why change a good thing if it's working for you? So I do think she will start to evolve, and her content will change a little bit as she continues to age.
We did forget one really important film credit of Taylor Swift. That, of course, is Cats. She was in that movie. It was a haunting performance.
Cats?
Certainly.
Wasn't that like one of the worst movies ever made?
I saw it in theaters. Last movie I saw in theaters before the pandemic.
How was her performance?
Fantastic.
Okay.
We don't have to go into it. Maybe we can grab some video of that. But in any case, let's talk a little bit more about where this goes for here. Because, Misty, so far the reception on social media to this album has been pretty negative, I have to say, even in Taylor Swift dedicated subreddits, which I have been on today while feverishly preparing for this show, and it seems really mixed. There is some disappointment out there, but then you think about the potential tour that could come out of this, and they're real productions. So I wonder, you know, how this album is being received has a bearing on her future tours, given that she has this body of work.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? TBD, I would say. You know, I think with this album, it is only 12 songs. The albums that she's been producing as of late, kind of since the pandemic, have had, you know, a second iteration. Who knows if we'll see that tonight or tomorrow? I think she still has some surprises in store for us. So, I think we hold out until the end of the weekend to make a final determination. And this one is more upbeat, so it's a little bit more lighthearted, and that could also be influencing the vibe.